Well, hello. I just got back from one of the most traumatizing experiences of my life, and that's probably why I'm shaking so much. Now, me and my family do not see eye to eye politically at all, and some little argument that we had escalated. I was getting a haircut, and during the haircut, my mom was constantly talking to other people, making other plans, which she admitted in court today. But anyway, I was upset because she wasn't focusing on my hair. She was just talking to other people, making other plans, and I eventually got really angry and said some mean things to her, and then my sister got involved. And I got so angry I tried to leave, and my mom stood in the doorway. After I had gotten upstairs, I had realized that I left like my some of my most important things, like my hat and my coat. So I called my mom and said I wanted my things, and I briefly went in and got them. And on the way out, my sister was still violently attacking me, and she said something about calling the police, and I just said go ahead, and I got angry and made like fists. I was not intending to hit her at all. It was just like intimidation. Like I wanted to tell her that I didn't care, that I knew I was in the right. I hadn't done anything wrong, but flashing my fists was wrong. I admit that. But anyway, the next day, my mom had gotten in contact with a crisis worker, and they made a plan to intercept me in town when my mom took me out, and I wanted to go get a Subway sandwich, and I got my sandwich, and I wanted to go out and get a can of my favorite dip, which is Skull Apple Tobacco Blend. But instead, she took me to the Pig, and I figured, well, I'll just get a couple things here. Found me a maple butter donut and a couple, just a pineapple smoothie bubbly shakes or whatever, the things that got those balls in them. I'm not too impressed with that, but the smoothie ones are pretty good. I'm trying to stop shaking so much, but anyway, yeah, the police surrounded me in the store, and they said I wasn't being detained. They just wanted to talk to me. I said I didn't trust them, and he put his arm underneath my arm, and I knew that at that point there was like really nothing I could do. I just let him herd me around. I was asking someone give me a phone. I can't. My phone I had tried contacting the Harbor Haven twice because I was worried about something that was going on. I suspected my mom was up to something, and Richard was, because he said today's the day we're putting you away. So, anyway, after talking to my mom and Richard, they decided they needed to detain me and for like a 72-hour hold. However, it was almost the weekend, and the weekend doesn't count, so I stayed in there for like 5 days. They were very, very cruel. The doctor that was there immediately took me off my medication and wanted to put me on an extremely old one with a lot of horrible side effects called Hadol. And simply using the fact that when this drug was really talked about, the side effects really weren't really talked about at the time it came out. It wasn't, but it is way worse than the drug I am on right now, which is called Cobenfy, to treat schizophrenia. Now, I guess you could say I don't personally believe that I am schizophrenic. I think certainly something negative had taken a hold of me at a point in my life and made it seem that way. And then immediately after my sister's baby had died and they were trying to pin that on me, something changed, and I started just going back to every place I had ever went and gotten myself made a fool of, and took back credibility. I proved them wrong, every single one of them. And I'm sure I made a lot of enemies in that time. And I think the main reason that the crisis worker was after me was due to an email that I had made to the clerk of courts, and I was referring to the case that happened to me before, and I said, thanks for showing me how corrupt this, something about how corrupt the system was, and I said I couldn't wait to come down with an axe of a case on their head and lock them away and show them what it's like. But, yeah, I don't know if the court information is public, but I'm not lying about this. You can look it up. It was Fond du Lac County versus Brandon Bob, and it was just a few days ago, a week ago. But man, the time I was in there, they did horrible things like change the drugs behind your back without telling you, and then not wanting to give you information sheets, trying to tell you that if you read that information sheet, you'll just talk yourself out of taking the drug. Well, that's maybe because the side effects are like 30 times longer than the actual benefits. And those old antipsychotics really make you like lock into a zone of just not feeling much at all. Your dopamine is really capped, and that's what antipsychotics do, is they prevent dopamine from getting like too high or too low. They keep you really balanced, but it also puts a cap on your happiness. And I would say that it really doesn't do much for stopping things from going too low. You feel very depressed, very quiet, and you actually lose the ability to fight back at anything that anyone says. You never really stand up to yourself. You get fat, you get stupid. They're not fun. And they're definitely nothing that anyone would want to take for recreation or even like anxiety, stress. Don't go to antipsychotics. They are not good drugs. I do not believe in court ordering, and that's what they tried to do, but they did not find probable cause in the case. They said that I de-escalated the situation, and my mother and sister were more so the instigators. And my mother also testified against me, which made me pretty emotional. Anyway, I'm back. I need a little bit to recover because I'm really shocked. I feel very tortured. They did a lot of horrible things like lying and gaslighting and smiling at you when you're upset, trying to get you more upset. And the mental institutions are no good. Unless they're like some type of private, like funded paid for by people, not like a state-funded system, because that's just fucked. If you ever need to get some kind of rehab, do not go to a state rehab center. Go to a private one. If you can't afford it, well, fuck. Maybe the government should start considering paying for those kinds of treatments and getting rid of all the other ones that don't really do anything.